Hello, my name's Ksantikara. I live here at Adasthana, and in this short video I'm going to be introducing you to the Metta Bhavana meditation practice. So the Metta Bhavana is usually translated as the cultivation of loving kindness. And in the practice, we bring to mind different people. Ourselves, a good friend, a neutral person, an enemy, and then all beings, everybody. And in the Metta Bhavana, we're both exploring what happens when we bring people to mind in our imagination. How does that affect our experience? What effect does it have on our bodies, on our mood, on our emotion? And we're also learning how to develop feelings of metta, of loving kindness towards those people. So a note on bringing people to mind. Some of you will have very visual minds. If I ask you to bring to mind your best friend or your mum, you might really see their face. Some of us, our imaginations don't quite work like that. But if I said to you, bring to mind a red bus, you are able to do it. Somehow, right now, a red bus has appeared in your experience. And so that's what we're doing in the Metta Bhavana. We just need a felt sense of these different people. Maybe you'll see them, but maybe you'll feel them. Maybe you'll just have a sense of their presence. Or maybe you'll touch into the mood or the effect on your body when you are with these people or when you bring them to mind. And these days we've sort of starved our imaginations. Most of us outsource our imaginations to YouTube, the news, Instagram. So it might take us a while to practice the Metta Bhavana and to reawaken our imaginations. And so the Metta Bhavana can be a challenging practice. We might find ourselves sad, anxious, angry. And when our minds are in these states, these negative emotions, it's like being stuck in a loop, in a closed circle. We become contracted, isolated, stuck, alone. And this practice, the Metta Bhavana, is the antidote to that. It's the antidote to negative emotion. By practicing the Metta Bhavana, we'll start to dwell in metta more. We'll dwell in loving kindness. Our lives will have more loving kindness in them. There'll be a brightness, a creativity. I think that's really exciting, and it's something we all need. So in the Metta Bhavana, we move through 5 different stages. And in the first stage, we start with ourselves. We turn towards our experience with kindly awareness. It's a bit like we just take a few moments to close our eyes and land into our experience. Here we are, and what's that like? And after we've sort of gathered ourselves in that way, traditionally we'd use some phrases. May I be well. May I be happy. May I be free from suffering. May I make progress. And having gathered ourselves, become aware of ourselves, it's a bit like taking a stone or a pebble and dropping it into a deep well. We take up the pebble, may I be well, and we let go, and we really allow it to drop into the very deep well and land with a splosh at the bottom. May I be well, and we allow that to resonate through our experience, noticing the effect. With these phrases, we mustn't overuse them. We're just using them to just knock ourselves in the direction of metta, in the direction of love. But really the Metta Bhavana, we want to spend a long time being receptive. Notice what it's like when you wish yourself well. Or even just notice what it's like bringing yourself to mind or dwelling with your own company. And then in the second stage, we bring to mind a good friend. It's really good if we can bring to mind someone it's not a very complicated relationship. You haven't got a complicated history. It's not that you fancy them or you're attracted to them. They're just a really good friend. And you bring them to mind. Once again, allow that to surface in your imagination. And once you've got a sense of them, again, notice what that's like. What is it like to be with your good friend as you close your eyes in this meditation? And then once again, you can use these phrases. May you be well. May you be happy. May you be free from suffering. May you make progress. Wishing your friend well and noticing what that's like. Then in the third stage, we bring to mind what we call the neutral person. Someone you know a little, someone in your life, perhaps a colleague or a friend or a neighbour. It's someone who you're not that interested in. They're in the periphery of your experience. But in this stage, we're deciding to get interested in them. And that can be difficult. It can be a bit boring bringing to mind someone that's so neutral, a neighbour you don't care about, or a colleague that is just your colleague. But we can start to realise that there's much more to people than we tend to give them credit during the day. So a colleague that sits opposite us, we might not be interested in, but they've got a whole story. Friends, likes and dislikes, fears, dreams. And so in this stage, we're learning how to get interested in people. And of course, most people that we encounter are neutral. We don't really care much about them. We don't really think about them. But what would it be like to experience human beings in their fullness? What would that be like for you? And what would it be like for them when they encountered you? So we're learning how to get interested in the neutral person. And once again, we can use these phrases to help us. And then in the fourth stage of the Metta Bhavana, we bring to mind an enemy. Sometimes we call the enemy a difficult person, and that might be a bit easier. But I do think there's something of the enemy that gives the strength of what the Metta Bhavana is getting at. And so it's not necessarily that you might have an arch nemesis, someone you want to kind of annihilate, destroy, get rid of. But you will have little elements of that. When someone frustrates us, or hurts us, or makes us angry or sad, it is a bit like we want them to go away. We want them not to exist. We kind of want them to end. We at least want them out of our lives and to push them away. And in that way, they're an enemy. We see them as if they're getting in the way of what we want. They're in the way of making us happy. And we need to learn that it's not quite like that. We can change our relationship to our enemies, to people we find difficult, to people we don't like. So in this stage, we choose someone that we find difficult, someone we get frustrated with, maybe even someone we hate. And I would really encourage that to be somebody in your life, not a politician or someone from a book or a film, someone in your life. And I'd also, early on when we're learning the Metta Bhavana, I'd encourage you not to pick someone who's really hurt you really badly. Or if you do have an arch nemesis, it might not be good to bring them to mind. And this isn't because that's dangerous or you should never do it. In the end, you'll need to bring those people to mind in order to make progress. But it's just that early on in the Metta Bhavana, we may find ourselves accidentally just doing a hate bhavana, just cultivating our hatred more and more. And then we'll end the meditation and realise we just hate these people even more than when we started. So we need to be careful of that when we're starting out. And then we come to the final stage of the Metta Bhavana. And we begin the final stage, the fifth stage, by kind of calling to mind, bringing back into our imagination and our experience everyone we've brought to mind so far. So we have a sense of ourself, a sense of a good friend, a neutral person, and the enemy. It's a bit like we're all sitting in a room together. We're all now in our imaginations, all four of us, and we wish ourselves well. We wish everybody well, ourselves and everyone equally. May we be well. May we be happy. Notice what it's like to have everyone in your awareness, all four people you've brought to mind so far. And what is it like to wish them all well equally? Or what would that be like if you could do it? And then having dwelt with those people for a while, we then start to bring more and more people to mind. We allow our imagination to unfold. And the key thing in the fifth stage of the Metta Bhavana is to have a sense of expansion. You're stretching your awareness, perhaps further than you usually would, to bring more and more people into your experience. And so you might do this geographically. You might imagine your awareness stretching out into the street, into the town you're in, into the rest of the country, the world. You might have a sense of bringing to mind your friends and family, their friends and family, their friends and family, tapping into this sense of expansion. In early Buddhist texts, they often talk about bringing people to mind in different categories. The tall and the short, the old and the young. You could do categories like that. Once again, allowing your imagination, your awareness to expand. And once again, you could drop in these phrases and wish those people well. So that's the 5 stages of the Metta Bhavana. It's a practice that includes our imagination, and it requires us to be both receptive and active. We have to actively bring people to mind in our imagination, then be receptive to the effect in our bodies and in our experience, and then once again we're active, perhaps by using these phrases to wish them well. So we've got this kind of bringing people to mind, wishing them well, and noticing the effect. It's a practice of expansion and a practice of cultivating loving kindness. So I hope you're looking forward to giving it a go.